Hello, everyone, and welcome to Don't Mess with the Mommas. I'm Arlena Black, and I'm here today with
Carla Brown.
We Are the Mommas. And don't forget, our motto is we and you are the protagonists
of our lives,
not the victim of our destiny. So, today we're doing something brand new. Actually, we're going live or semi-live, so you could see our faces and bodies on YouTube, so you know we're not AI. And we even have Zoe, our little pug, with us, who has to be the center of attention all the time. So today we're going to be talking about You've Got a Friend in Me. You know that song, You've Got a Friend in Me. You've got a friend in me. So we are going to talk about what it means to be a friend and how to create friendships and why they are important. So Carla, you are an expert in friendship because you just befriend everybody in your neighborhood and you're just that kind of gal, you know. So tell us a little bit about what is a friend. And
well, a friend is someone that you trust, you have mutual affection for. You can be yourself with them. You can share your difficulties, your challenges, your victories. They also help us to see ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, they can point out our weaknesses or where we may be going wrong. They don't judge us. They accept us for who we are, and we can count on them. We can count on them to be with us when we need people to be with us. They also help to give us a different perspective on problems that we may be facing. And they're wonderful to have, that you can have at least one person that you can go to when you're in time of crisis or need, and they know you the best of everybody.
I agree totally. And, you know, and I was thinking about it, our family is the family that you're born into. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can't always be friends with your family, and sometimes it's just the opposite, as we, I'm sure, have all experienced. Mm-hmm. But a friend you can really be open with and be vulnerable. That's really important. So many people nowadays can't really open up and just allow themselves to be vulnerable. So that kind of level of friendship is really super duper important. But it's not easy always to make friends. And I have to share my two funny experiences, if not three, about establishing a friendship with somebody I had no idea I would become a friend with. One is we had our first restaurant on Edisto Island, South Carolina, and this guy walked in, and he was like a big, tough-looking guy. He was actually Native American, very good-looking guy, and he just walked straight to the bathroom. And I said, you know, bathroom is only for customers. And he kind of looked at me and said, well, I really have to use the bathroom. And of course, that was like a kind of a negative. And I said, oh, this is going to be like a bit of a fight. It turns out he bought a bunch of food, and we started talking, and we became such good friends. Mm-hmm. So much so that he ended up being our realtor because he was doing lots of different things in life. So he was our realtor and helped us sell our house. But, you know, sometimes friendship starts in the most precarious or unexpected ways. Another example is in our organization, the SGI. Mm-hmm. I was a young woman, had responsibility to call and inform other young women about our activities. There was one young woman who I was assigned to, and she was scary. She was about 6'2", 350 pounds, and mean as all get out. Mm-hmm. And I would call her, and she would hang up on me. And I would constantly get guidance. I said, I can't deal with her. She's too difficult. And I would call her, and she would hang up on me. But because I really cared about her life, I really did care about her life, even though she was mean at all get out and she didn't want to have anything to do with me. So because I kept on persisting we became such good friends that I was her what's called sake girl, or maid of honor at her wedding. So sometimes, when you least expect it, you create a friendship, with people. But how do you create friends? It's so hard nowadays with social media. It's really difficult. And I also wanted to say that animals are also good friends. I just saw a movie last night about the penguins. A guy, an English teacher who was in Argentina, had ended up adopting a penguin, and that penguin ended up opening up so many people's hearts, because the penguin was such a good listener, and the penguin had a lot of empathy, just like dogs, who are now a dog. I don't know if you can see this, but right now Zoe is licking Carla's feet, so she's making her feel really.
I'm a friend.
She's a good friend, yeah. But so Carla, I mean, being vulnerable, all those things that you said about friendship, which is so important. But how in these days do you establish a friend?
I think you have to open yourself to saying hello. You say hello. That's the first step in becoming a friend. I was standing outside my apartment building, and this lady comes walking down the street. She's got a dog. Okay, and of course I don't have any pets. I can't have any pets. But I love dogs. I just wouldn't want to own one. And so, we got to talking, and I asked her, did she want to come to a Buddhist meeting? And she said, oh, yeah. And eventually, as days went by, we kept bumping into each other. We became friends, right? So when I knew there was real friendship is when she called me, when she was very much in need of someone to help her. And her dog was dying, and she needed someone to come to just be with her. So she called me and she said, I knew you would come. I knew you would come. And I felt so good about that she could trust that I would come. I would be there. I wouldn't give her an excuse for not coming. And I went to her and, sat with her, got her what she needed, and then we proceeded to look for a new dog. So now she's got a new dog, and I've got a friend and a dog.
And I think, we say, because everybody is interconnected, that your neighbors, there's some kind of connection you have with the people who are, nothing is by accident, the people who are living next to you or even over on the next block or wherever it is. There is this connection that you have with people, and we need to start thinking that way. It's so important to really have a relationship as you've created with your neighbor, and I know you've created relationships with many of your neighbors, including the kids. You're doing arts and crafts with them. One of our neighbors across the street, they're an elderly couple, and we've gone out to lunch with them. We've been to their house for dinner. They've been to our house, and we have very, very, very different political beliefs. But that's okay, because you could find commonality somehow. And we also have a good friend who had a tragedy in her life. She lost her husband not too long ago, and she joined us for Thanksgiving dinner, and that was so wonderful. It was so wonderful to not talk about the negative, but talk about the positive. We talked about all these different natural cures for things, and we found so much commonality. And I think that that's the key, is to find what we have, what we can really share. You don't have to have the same religious or political or any kind of beliefs. You just have to be able to realize we're all human beings, So I think that's really, really important. And, our international president, who, passed away 2 years ago, but he said that friendship is your true wealth. And I think that's really true. Your true wealth are your friends, absolutely. That's very, very special. So what do you think? What else would you like to share?
Friendship is a basic human need. We need to be close to people, and it's the answer to loneliness.
Right.
First of all, friends boost our happiness level. They also help us to reduce our stress. There's something that happens, biochemicals, the endorphins.
Yes.
They help to raise that, so that
Absolutely.
makes you happy.
So how do you become a friend? Like, how do you find friends? Like, besides the neighbors, where else can you find a friend?
You could find a friend anywhere. It doesn't, even people who you might not. I remember one lady, I was working on this job, and I didn't like her at first, okay? I was competitive and everything, but she turned out to be one of my best friends.
Right.
Friends are your partners in crime. The things you do with them, the best laughs that you can have, they really help us through, a lot of different things. If you can't talk to your family, you have at least one friend you can talk to, and they may not be able to give you advice, but they can rub your back.
Right.
They can see you through it,
Right.
and
So I think also today, because people tend to be at home a lot, that's a real issue, and loneliness is such an issue. It doesn't mean being alone is lonely, but loneliness is the issue. So I know that one of my friends does mahjong. She plays mahjong, and she's creating friends through there. There's gyms that you can join, and not everybody wants to join a gym, but there are different clubs. There's book clubs. I mean, whatever your interests are, there's things out there for you, and you don't have to just do it on Zoom. You can do it in person. There's lots and lots of opportunities, and I think everybody is realizing how important it is for us to have those social interactions. So many different opportunities. I even became friends with my nurse practitioner. She was supposed to be checking me out, and we ended up talking about our nails and our hair and our clothes and this and that, and we just had the best of times. So there are many opportunities out there, but you do have to make yourself available, and you have to become vulnerable, and sometimes you have to do the first introduction. Not everybody's going to, even just as you said, saying hello, going to the grocery store and becoming friends with the cashier. It doesn't mean you have to be with them full time, but just to have that relationship, that interaction.
And what I learned is that your friendship, having a friend helps you to establish other social relationships.
Right.
It's like your training ground. If you can be a friend in this situation, you can be a friend to somebody else, So they help us navigate our lives with our people, our supervisors, everybody. So they're really a training ground, how to be a friend.
So I think that we've pretty much shared what we want to share. Is there something else, you have something else you want to share, and then I'll summarize what we talked about? But go ahead.
I think a friend has integrity. They're gonna stand up to whatever challenge that you may be facing. You have fair weather friends, the ones that are only there when you're giving something or they can take something. But then you have friends that are with you, like ride or die buddies. So.
I love it. I love what you said. Yeah, absolutely. Ride or die. I love it. So what we said today is sometimes when you least expect it, you'll create a friend when you don't even know it. Become friends with your neighbors. Say hello. Just starting the conversation. And become vulnerable. Friends help you be vulnerable, but be willing to be vulnerable. And how important it is even for your body to have a friend. Because our biochemical processes really respond to good friendship. It's really important. And, to really be able to trust. And you've had experiences where you felt so good when your neighbor called you and knew that she could rely on you to be able to depend on someone. I think that is really, really wonderful.
Because we're so isolated.
We're so isolated.
We're isolated. And like if you can, what I'm doing now is, this is a new neighborhood I'm living in. So I have the people next door to me on both sides.
Yes.
I communicate certain things to them that I think that they may need to look out for as far as our homes are concerned. Did you get your termite bond straightened out? Okay, the HOA. You have ways of opening pathways to develop a friendship. because we're all scared of each other.
Right. No,
You
that's
know?
so true.
So if we can make a friend with one person, that's building trust.
And actually, another friend of ours recently moved to a 55 plus community. And he tends to be a real loner. He does a lot of traveling and he does a lot of things on his own. And he said, you know what, I'm going to get more involved in my community. So he recently joined a hiking group and another group. And that's another way to create and establish friendships. So, yeah, I think that's everything we wanted to say for today. I think so. So to end, we always end with encouraging words. And this is, and I like this one a lot, you cannot judge the quality of another's friendship by superficial appearances, especially when things are going smoothly. It is only when we have experienced the worst, most crushing of times, when we have plumbed the depths of life, that we can experience the joys of genuine friendship. Only a man of principle, a woman of resolve, a person who stays true to their chosen path can be a trusted and true friend and have real friends in turn. And I think that pretty much summarizes everything. And don't forget, we would love to hear from you. And we're thinking maybe if you would like to be interviewed on Zoom, if you have a wonderful friendship story, you could email us at mommas, mommas .podcast@gmail.com. And now you can find us live on YouTube and other platforms. Don't forget, we are
The Mommas.
The Mommas. Don't mess
That's
with
what
the
the
Mommas.
Mommas.
Spell Mommas right. Mommas. And then also, you are
The
protagonist
of your life,
not the victim of your destiny. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.